All right, so we're going to pick up right where we left off, okay? So looking at this cartoon, we're going to, again, talk about the road to World War II. Okay, so you see Hitler here, okay, kind of thumbing his nose at the spineless leaders of democracy. So again, nobody has been able to stop him from continuing to expand. All right, for this one, go ahead and take down each side. So you need to know who are the members of the Axis powers and who are the members of the Allied powers. Okay, remember, at this point, the United States has not yet joined the war. Okay, we'll get to that a little bit later. Okay, so again, here's propaganda. Okay, talking about United States and Great Britain joining together to crack the Axis powers. So we're looking at Germany, Italy, and Japan. Okay, again, with both this one and this one, you do not need to write. But again, remember, at the beginning of the war, we're going to remain isolated, okay, and then slowly move into this idea of neutrality, okay? America did not want to get in the war, so just understand that. You don't need to write this one down. Okay, you do need to know FDR's For Freedom speech. So he's giving this speech as part of his inaugural address for his third term. Okay, so he believed that all people should be granted freedom of speech, freedom of worship, or freedom of religion, freedom from want. So again, people getting their basic needs, and freedom from fear, so basic safety. Okay, so where we kind of move away from our neutrality. So remember, if we had to pick a side, we're going to side with our friends in Great Britain. Okay, so we begin with the cash and carry policy. It's literally exactly like it sounds. Okay, so any country that is fighting the Axis powers, so again, Japan, Germany, and Italy, okay, they're allowed to purchase war goods from the United States. Okay, to kind of front and make it seem like we're still being neutral, they had to pay in cash and had to pick up supplies. Okay, so the United States was not going to cross the Atlantic and cross the English Channel to drop them off. Okay, this effectively is going to end neutrality. Okay, we've kind of made it clear at this point who we are going to help. Okay, under the similar idea, you need to know the Lend-Lease Act. Okay, go ahead and copy what's done in red and highlight this idea of the Lend-Lease Act. Okay, so this is giving the power of FDL to sell goods to any country, okay, that he thought was in the best interest of the United States. Again, that is going to be the Allied powers. Okay, so again, we've kind of chosen a side. So economically, we've picked a side. So this is sort of like a declaration of war against the Axis powers. Okay, the Axis powers realize the United States are not going to help them. Okay, again, don't necessarily need to write this down. Remember what the convoy system is. Okay, they needed the battleships to be able to protect the goods being carried across the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, with this one, simpling it down. Okay, with the Selective Service Act, we talked about this in World War I as well. Okay, so first peacetime draft in the United States. Okay, so we begin drafting soldiers even though we are not directly involved in the war. Okay, so I'll get the first point and the second point. Okay, so again, we're not actively in the war. It's roughly ages 21 to 35 are required to register. When we are actively in the war, it's going to open up to a much wider age frame. Okay, so just go ahead and get the first 2 points again. We kind of went over this when we talked about World War I. Okay, so again, looking here, we got Uncle Sam representing the United States. Okay, a plan to lend Britain arms, so talking about weapons. Hitler's over here saying that you're playing with dynamite, saying it's very risky for us to take a side. Okay, Uncle Sam replies saying it would be dynamite if I didn't. Okay, FDR is very much so justifying supplying weapons that if we help Britain now, we may not have to get involved in the war later. Okay, with the Atlantic Charter, basically you need to know with the Atlantic Charter is that FDR, so President of the United States, and Winston Churchill, who's the Prime Minister of Britain, are basically agreeing that they're going to stand together against the Axis powers. Okay, very simple. All you need to write with that one. Okay, where he begins to get more aggressive towards the Axis powers, okay, he makes a quarantine speech. So if you're very sick, oftentimes you get put in quarantine, off by yourself, completely cut off, okay? So FDR says that If you are peaceful, okay, or you're helping out, the United States will work with you, okay? FDR is also quarantining or cutting off aggressive nations. So again, we can assume that he is referring to the three Axis powers. Okay, so during this time period, again, America is now trading with Great Britain, making sure they have war supplies. Just like we saw in World War I, U-boats are going to be very active in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, we even see it at home off the coast of North Carolina. Okay, so again, they begin attacking American ships, killing American citizens. This is moving us into a position we're more willing to fight. Okay, Japan and the United States. So again, we talked about Japan began to imperialize. Okay, we had a tense relationship. Okay, the United States had already intervened on behalf of kind of stopping Japan from imperializing or expanding their empire. Okay, and at this point, Japan had become an Axis power. They had officially formed an alliance with Germany and Italy. Okay. So what's officially going to bring the United States into the war is going to be the attack on Pearl Harbor. Okay, so this is a surprise attack. So remember, Pearl Harbor is going to be one of our major military bases. Where? In Hawaii. Okay, so again, kind of right in that midsection in between the United States West Coast and Japan. Okay, so very quickly, the Japanese are going to bomb in Pearl Harbor. It was a surprise attack, so we really couldn't fight back. So the Japanese only lost a few submarines and aircrafts during the attack. Okay, this is devastating. Okay, this is the first time that America has been attacked on their own soil since the Civil War. Okay, so again, we begin to feel that our safety is an issue. This is the first time another country has attacked us on our soil. We were not prepared, and this is going to launch us directly into our involvement during World War II. Okay, so obviously the immediate reaction, okay, is that Japan is going to attack the West Coast next. Okay, so we're kind of on edge, getting prepared for that. One day later, FDR declares war on Japan. This means the U.S. has entered into World War II. Okay, so just a refresher, we talked about the official start of World War II is going to be when Germany invades Poland. Okay, the official entry of the United States is going to be Pearl Harbor. Okay, so in retaliation, 3 days later, Germany and Italy, who were allies of Japan, are going to declare war back on the United States. Okay, so again, we fear this idea of the Japanese attacking on the West Coast. We also fear that Japanese citizens are spying for Japan. Okay, so because of this, FDR is going to issue the Executive Order 9066. Okay, what this does, it removes Japanese. So when we talk about Nisi Japanese, they are Japanese Americans. So Japanese citizens who are born in America but may have parents who were directly from Japan. Okay, so they are moved from the West Coast in towards mainland. Okay, moving more towards the center of the United States because we were accusing basically all of them of being spies. Okay, again, don't necessarily have to write this word for word, but this idea of putting them into internment camps. Okay, so they had to sell their homes. They were very judged and discriminated against. Okay, so they were moved into internment camps. So again, not very good living conditions, all cramped together, sometimes separated from their families. One famous court case that you do need to know with this is Korematsu versus the United States. Okay, Korematsu was a Japanese citizen that refused to be relocated. Okay, so he's bringing his case all the way up to the Supreme Court. Okay, basically saying that that violates his constitutional rights. But again, remember, in your wartime, okay, your individual liberties can be limited. Okay, so the Supreme Court rules against Korematsu and in favor of the United States, saying that your rights can be violated during a wartime if there's clear and present danger. Okay, so again, you see this picture kind of to the left. Okay, Bill Clinton formally apologized to Korematsu and for this idea of internment camps for the Japanese.